Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about an extremely unique and very special tabletop role-playing game moment that I just got to enjoy, which was using Marvel Multiverse RPG to run a story of American 1996 professional wrestling in the WWE. And I asked the narrator said, "Hey, what do you want to play?" And I was like, "I would really like to play Dwayne the Rock Johnson." All right, so that's what we did, and actually we used the Marvel Multiverse role playing game to run a tabletop role playing game of Dwayne the Rock Johnson's career with a branching path, right? So basically we'd be using the game to emulate the matches that he began in, but once the dice start rolling, if I win the match, I win the match. If I lose the match, I lose the match. And it was pretty awesome. It was really incredible. So, well, I just want to explain, what we ran, how we ran it, and kind of dig into it, right? So first of all, this came about because this year I've been playing the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game to run a Marvel campaign. And I was absolutely blown away, not just by the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game aspects of it, but how powerful the rules engines were. And as soon as I saw the rules engines, I'm like, this was built to do anything that anyone could do in Marvel. And when we saw street-level heroes like Daredevil, I'm like, Daredevil is just human. He really doesn't have any superpowers, right? He's like Batman. So we could use this to run anything. And so what we're really doing right now is we're really running an alternate history of The Rock in 1996 in the WWE. So there's a lot of campaigns bouncing around. We invited two other players. One couldn't make it because of just scheduling. And then another did not think it would be a good idea. We didn't know until we ran it. It is absolutely the Marvel Multiverse RPG rule system is phenomenal. I can't believe it. But what I really liked was this was one part a museum walking me through the 1996 WWE, and I think at that point it may have been the WWF, but the World Wrestling with Vince McMahon's set. And so it's one, a museum piece walking me through what happened so that I can learn about professional wrestling. And it's also this alternate history, right? So that we can envision a past that never was, right? And what if The Rock had branched and made different decisions, right? So one, this was highly successful, and the reason why is the narrator is specifically a professional wrestling SME. He's a subject matter expert. He has forgotten more about American professional wrestling, WWE, WWF, WCW, than most people ever knew. He really knows this extremely well. And what was really fascinating was, I proposed this to him, and when I proposed it to him, I was like, I'm going to be the narrator. And then he bought the Marvel Multiverse RPG book and was like, what if I run as the narrator? And I'm like, bet, I am in. And then when he did that, he's like, who would you like to play? And I was like, I know exactly who I want to play. I want to play as The Rock. Now, I had initially proposed this as the 1980s WWE, and I thought that I would end up playing somebody like Hulk Hogan or some of the other, major, American professional wrestling heroes of the 80s. But he said, well, some of the greatest moments in the WWE occurred in the 90s. And as soon as he unlocked that, I actually said I would like to run The Rock. And he's like, well, The Rock started in the 90s, right? So that switched the timetable. What was really amazing was and what I really want to kind of what really blew me away is I recently ran I was a player in a Dungeons and Dragons Aragon game, and that ended extremely badly after the first session, right? Whereas I just had this Marvel Multiverse RPG, and it went extremely well. And what really really stood out to me was in the Aragon game, the dungeon master was like, you have to learn all these things to play at the table, and if you don't know all these things about the world, I'm going to punish you. Where, and that's how I felt, right? And I quite literally was punished, was kicked out of the game. So I'm not saying, like, it's not like, oh, that's my opinion. Like, I was literally kicked out of the game. I was definitely punished for not knowing the rules of the Aragon world, the lore of the Aragon world better. Whereas here, the dungeon master, the narrator, was very like, this game is the purpose of this game is to teach you, right, about the WWE. So I knew The Rock, right? And I know, the massive success The Rock has become. What I didn't know were a whole bunch of things that became evident as this narrator really kind of handheld me through the early history of the WWE. And I was really thankful that, the difference between one narrator and another narrator is, one is like, I'm going to punish you for not knowing the lore, and the other one is like, I'm going to walk you through the lore, right? It's a very, very different takes, and I felt a lot more comfortable in this game, and this was a lot more successful than the other game, and it was, it was kind of a big deal to me that this was done, and I was very appreciative of it. But so what are some of the things that I learned about The Rock by playing in this session? So one, I understand Vince McMahon's role much, much better, right? And actually, let me explain what I learned about the WWE. I understand Vince McMahon's role much, much better. I didn't understand that actually his plan for the WWE was very different than his father's plan for what he had owned, right? For Vince McMahon's father. I also got a really good sense of how much momentum the WWE had made in the 1980s, and when they hit in 1996 and The Rock was there, they were on fire. Like, they were making money hand over fist. They were selling out arenas and stadiums. There's a difference between an arena and a stadium. Arenas are generally used for basketball. They're much, much smaller. You could be able to sell out an arena but not be able to sell out a stadium, right? But they were doing both. Like, they could sell out arenas and stadiums. Truly astounding, right? And this is what I learned about The Rock. So I was like, okay, The Rock, he came from nothing, and he was going to make his way up through the WWE ranks. What I didn't know was that his father came in as Rocky Johnson, right? And his great-grandfather was Big Chief Peter Maivia. And that The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, is actually Rocky Maivia, right? And I did not know that. And so I did not know that he was a third generation wrestler. And that was incredible. I was really shocked when I learned that. I did not know that about The Rock. There's also a point in the campaign, in the session. So this was season 1, episode 1. And it was a one-on-one. It was one narrator and one player. And actually, I do love that. Like, to me, I'm not a fan of solo RPGing, but I really think there's this incredible opportunity in smaller games, right? And it's really nice. Now, one of my games recently had 6 players at the table. Actually, my last Marvel Multiverse RPG actually had 6 players at the table, and it was epic, and I really did enjoy it. But this was really something special. It was almost like a gift from the narrator to me, and I really, really just was blown away, by it. And I really, really enjoyed it. What I also learned was there was one point in the session in episode 1 where The Rock, we did a Survivor series, and it with a 4-on-4 Survivor series, and he got through that and was able to win that. Some of his opponents in there were Goldust, Crusher, Triple H, who was going by Hunter Hayworth Hemsley, I think, at that point, and then it later turned to Triple H. And there was Lawler was in there. So that I defeated, and I had, and people were helping me, and we defeated them. And after we defeated them, I needed to go and do extra special training. So I went back to Hawaii. Now I thought that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was Hawaiian. He is not. That he was born in Hawaii. He was not born in Hawaii. He was born in Miami, Florida. But his ancestors are Hawaiian. I thought he was Maori. He is not Maori. He is Samoan, right? And so and this is what was really incredible was I couldn't believe how patient the narrator was with I understand The Rock. I understand The Rock, and I know a good bit about The Rock, but there's a lot that I don't know. There are lacunas in my Rock knowledge, right? And it was really really kind of a lesson to me to be like, the narrator was very patient. I really liked it. The other thing that was interesting was I only know a few wrestling moves, right? But I learned the wrestling moves as the narrator used the wrestling moves in the game, right? And so in episode 1, I got to see, pile driver. I forgot that the pile driver existed. I knew a clothesline, and I knew bouncing off the ropes and bouncing off the ropes again and doing a clothesline. I knew a jumping double kick, and a few other moves, right? But this guy has easily, I'm not kidding, like 35 basic moves in his head, and he has 20 different moves that are like. So at one point in the game, I used a Kinshasa. I said, I'm going to do a Kinshasa, right? Because I remembered it, right? And the reality is, The Rock almost certainly would not have used somebody else's move, right? But the and the narrator was like, you're going to do a flying kick to the face, right? Like you're going to do a flying knee to the face while the person is down, right? And it was really, really excellent. And and not only did I learn during the game, but one of the things is I realized, okay, what I need to know now is I need to know more moves to use in the ring, right? And so, between now and 2 weeks from now, and we're on a bi-weekly pace at this point, I need to, get ready the next, I need to have more moves available. And the other thing that I could do now is I can also learn learn more moves that I can use in the ring, right? So actually, I really want to thank you for letting me share my experience with Marvel Multiverse RPG, using that rule system to run an alternate history of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's career in the WWE starting in 1996, and walking through his fights and his matches, and also allowing it to branch, right, and to branch into other histories. So it was extremely enjoyable. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about Vince McMahon, about professional wrestling, about The Rock himself, and about history, about the 90s. It was a really fantastic experience, and I just want to say thank you for letting me share my experience with you. This is my field report and we ran this at an FLGS, at a friendly local game shop. And while we were playing, the place was filled with, I think about 20 to, I would say 25, Magic the Gathering Commander players, but there were spaces at the back of the shop for us. There was only about 2 free tables, and we took one of those tables. And it was really great. It was really fantastic. I'm incredibly thankful to the narrator. I'm incredibly thankful to the FLGS. And I'm thankful to you for letting me chronicle this right here. And so thank you for letting me give you my field report. Please consider subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.